Hello, you guys. It's something that I want to share with you that I was going to be posting on last Thursday because I had God had revealed something to me about a situation, and I'm sharing it because I want you guys to gain something from this. Which what I'm about to say is also backed up in the Word, and I'm about to talk about something that is very personal, very sensitive to me, but I want to share it. Okay, I have been wondering, as some of you may know or may not know, um, I lost my mother March 26th of 2016, um, due to a minor surgery, something that shouldn't even have taken place, as far as the death of it. Anyway, I'm a firm believer that, the word says that we are created and we are made in God's image. And the same power that is invested in Him, it is also invested in us. So therefore, I know that I do believe that I have healing hands. I do believe that, that God can use me to heal. And I do believe, what His word says about that. So going forward, I have never seen it happen where somebody laid hands or spoke to the dead and they actually rose up. But I do believe that it has happened and that it can happen. So in the event when I was at the hospital with my mother, she when she began to breathe heavily, it was just a heavy breathing. And when she fell back out my arms onto the bed, and when she went back, at that moment, I felt she was gone. However, I kept calling her name, then I began to pray. I began to pray and lay on top of her and pray. A little short time later, the nurse came in. Of course, they put me out. But while I was still in there, I was praying. And I was speaking God's word. And I was believing that she could come back. Because I believe that. Okay? So as they put me out of the room, I'm pacing the halls, not caring what nobody think or thought. Pretty sure they thought I was crazy, the ones who didn't know about Jesus. I began to pray, and I started speaking in tongues, and I started speaking the word over my mother, because you can just send your word. You don't even have to lay hands, but your word, God said I will send my word. I began to pray with my mother. So when she didn't rise up and she didn't get up, I couldn't understand why God would, why would that happen? Do I blame God? Absolutely not. But I couldn't understand that me having faith, the faith that I think that I have, why she didn't rise up. Why? And I battled with that and couldn't understand why, if I spoke God's word, if I believed His word and believed that she could get up, if He wanted her to rise up, why didn't she get up? It wasn't until Thursday of last week, which this is February, riding home from my class, and I was thinking about my mother, and then it's just like I had an epiphany. What God had revealed to me, your faith wasn't strong enough. Now, nobody wants to hear that who thinks they in faith. You know, if you think that you're doing right, you don't want to hear that you're doing wrong. But one thing that I love about God, that he will not let you go comfortless, and he will answer those things, and he will answer the things that bothers you. You know, he says that he will perfect those things which concerns you. So when God had spoke to me and said that, I was like, kind of like, hold on, God. Now I believed, but God reminded me that when my mother fell out of my arms, I had already made up in my mind that she was gone. I just felt it. So God is like, how can I work on your behalf just from what your lips say when your heart says otherwise? Now I want y'all to understand what I'm saying here. We want things to happen and want God to move in these ways. And God saying, you are tying my hands, even though your lips is praying and you believing that I can do a thing, but yet you've already made up in your heart what the outcome is. So, now look at this. Each week we have chapters that we read that we're supposed to be reading through the week, and then we go over them on Sunday. Well, in Matthew 17, it was talking about it was a boy that was dealing with it said demon possessed boy. He was had seizures and suffered terribly, and the disciples had tried to heal them, but they couldn't. So now I'm about to read from the word. Jesus said in Matthew 17:17, Jesus said, you faithless and corrupt people, how long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Then Jesus rebuked the demon in the boy, and it left him. From that moment, the boy was healed. He was well. The disciples go to Jesus in private, and they like, hold up, Lord. You know, why couldn't we cast out that demon? Why couldn't we raise him from the dead? Why couldn't we do that? Jesus simply answered them and said, you don't have enough faith. That's what he told them. The same thing that Jesus told me that Thursday night. You didn't have enough faith. Now I believe that I did. These two things are happening. God is showing me that I did it. Or he's showing me that you had already made up in your heart. So I couldn't go against what your heart say, because, you know, a lot of times we speak what we want God to do, but yet we don't believe it. We speak it out of our mouth, but our hearts are saying differently. So I encourage you that whatever it is that you believe in God for, that you want him to do, you got to have the faith of a mustard seed. Because without that, you can't do. Now, am I saying whether she would have been alive today? I don't know. But I do know God cannot work and answer the things and the matters of your heart when your lips and your heart are on two different pages. So if you want God to do a thing or do something in your life, make sure that your heart is lining up with what you want God to do. And not that you are convicting it, or shall I say, what's the word I'm looking for? contradicting what his words say with your thoughts and with your heart. Have a good day.